Hi, everyone. Welcome, and how's everyone doing?
Morning.
I've started the meeting recording, so I'll watch my language. But it's wonderful to have everyone on the call, and welcome to spring, welcome to April. We'll just give people a few more minutes to join up, and then we'll get this going.
Shelley, while everybody's sort of joining us here, would you like to run the screen share just because you've got the bulk?
Sure, I can do that.
Okay.
All right, we'll just give people maybe one more minute to join, and then we'll get things.
The first Tuesday after a long weekend, so everybody comes in.
Yeah, I don't know about everyone else, but getting my kids up into school was particularly hard yesterday.
Yesterday was rough for us.
Canada didn't have school yesterday.
Our schools are all over the place. I think most people had it yesterday.
Yeah, I think most of this area.
We're starting to climb into the 40s here, Tom. Maybe if we give it a minute while we get everything set up, we can start kind of the general introductions.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Let me just click admit on a couple more people here, and then I'll get things started. All right, great. Well, again, welcome everyone. Welcome to the April monthly website services community call. We're very happy to bring you some news about the latest developments in the roadmap and to share where we're at and where we're going. And of course, at the end of the session, there'll be time for any questions or comments that you might have. And we hope you have them, because this is our primary means of communicating with so many of you. So keep those free flow of ideas and questions coming. And with that, let me turn things right over to Kylie to get the main business of the meeting started.
Great. Well, everybody, happy April. Shelley, do you want to go to the first slide for us? So quick agenda for myself and for the core team. Oh,
a little fast, sorry.
So we are coming into June. June is a huge release, and I know we've been saying that a lot, but this one's significantly large, and it comes with a lot of really interesting things, specifically the start of our design system. And for you content editors, that's what we want to show you, because that's what makes you be able to manipulate your site with all the sort of fun design and styling things in it. We also want to go through some upcoming releases for both September and December, so you have a line of sight of what that's coming. There's a couple key upgrades that Avi is going to take you through that you just need to be aware of and talk back with your vendors. And then we have a little bit of space for the opening questions here at the end. So if you have any, please let us know. I'm going to go to so we'll start off with the June release. Go to the next slide. Okay, so June has a lot of big things, and specifically one of them is the move to Drupal 10. Drupal core is moving from Drupal 9 to Drupal 10 at that point, and we're making it available to you. So something you guys will want to consider as we will be talking about the end of life of Drupal 9 kind of later on in the call. The remainder of the layout builder elements we're hoping to get in. So this will include your menus and your global elements, locations, camps, facilities, and additional components. In addition to this, as part of Layout Builder, you will get access to the design system through this upgrade. And the design system includes a bunch of different banners. There's 4 in total in this release. Shelley's going to show them to you as well, with 4 different banner feature card templates, as well as all of the compliance stuff in terms of color systems and structures that we need to go through here. There will also be a few things we need to talk about in terms of colors, because with the updated branding that we've been working with the YMCA team, there's a few changes what you may have been using in the past that are no longer available to you as associations from a branding standard perspective. So we've made those adjustments in the upcoming release. And that's something that you want to be aware of. We're also doing an accessibility audit, as many of you guys are aware. The importance of accessibility to your website from both a screen reader, color, contrast is on the top of our list. So that's going through right now, and all of those changes we're hopeful will get in on this release. You will see future on that. That'll be continued in September. Accessibility takes a number of runs to get perfect, but we'll be starting that remediation as well. And then we are going to try to get in the fix for responsive images in cropping and focusing, cropping and focus point, so that works a little bit better. But to show you the really exciting stuff, Shelley, why don't you take us through all the design system work?
Absolutely. Okay. Let me just make sure, kind of move this out of the way here. All right. So just to show you some of the different banners that we'll be making available on the distribution, kind of out of the box for you to select and place the top of your page. And there are 4 that we've designed for this iteration. We have a traditional overlay banner with text over a full width image, over the full width of the screen image, and then a bit of an overlay color that would match the color theme that we'll talk about in a couple minutes here. Next banner is a chevron banner. So it's more of a 50-50 style. So this would be more useful if you have imagery that might not look really great expanding the full length of your page. And it allows for some of that additional color treatment along with your color theme selection. Then we have more of a standard out of the box banner with just a light color treatment, a full width image, and then a nice accessible, easily accessible and high contrast area for your page title and description here. And then finally, another 50-50 sort of banner that allows for some additional color treatment, and then a nice, more of a dark color theme if you like that kind of darker palette with your pages.
So just to add a quick note here, we heard from the strategic community that they would like access to all of those banners. So we're going to, you don't have to pick one. You will be able to pick of those banners as varying templates, and there will be in the future a smaller version of one of them as well that we'll be making for you.
Exactly. And you'll be able to switch them up amongst pages. So if you want to use one banner on your home page and another banner on internal pages, you'll be able to have that flexibility. And the next piece here that we're going to discuss, and we can get this out of the way, is cards. And this is we've heard from the community, this is one of the items that people use the most and also require the most flexibility from. So we're coming out of the box with a bunch of different offerings for cards. And again, you'll have this same flexibility as you do with banners. So you could use different card styles on different pages if you choose. So you could use this dark card on some pages if you feel like that's more your style, or you could use these overlay cards or the white cards. So you're going to have that flexibility to be able to choose. So these are the 4 card styles. They kind of match what we've done with the banners. So as you can see, you have a basic kind of out of the box standard card. You have a card with a slight color treatment, but then that nice white high contrast. And then we have a couple options for darker color cards. So this darker color here, and then the overlay, which matches the overlay banner as well. In addition to the different card styles here, we're also going to have additional flexibility for cards, which would include different border radiuses for the cards. So you have a full corner border radius, you have a 10 pixel border radius, and then a 20 pixel border radius. And these will come out of the box, and you can be able to select which one you want to have a style apply to your cards on the site. And as you can see, the button styles also match with the card styles. So if you have 20 pixel radius on your card corners, your button corners will match that style as well. Next is a border styles. So this might be a little bit harder to see just on this screen here, but we have an offering for a drop shadow around the card. We also have 1 pixel gray border around the card, and then an option for no border on the card. I know some folks are kind of doing that sort of floating card thing where they have no border. So we've left that option available as well. Oop, went too fast. Sorry about that. Text and button alignment. So we'll also have options for different alignments on text and buttons. So we'll have left aligned text and buttons, and then also center aligned. So you'll have that default option as well. We also noticed that there's a couple different options with button positioning with inside cards. There's a few sites where you kind of have this overlapping button on the edge of the card here. So we're leaving that option for you as well as in card buttons. Sorry, my mouse is very sensitive and it doesn't like to play nice. Okay, one back. Here we go. Okay, so the last selection will be, we've created for each of the basic color themes for the brand standards for YUSA, we've created essentially colorways that will allow you to select which color theme you'd like to use on your page, not just your website. So this will be a page setting. So if you would like camp pages to have their own specific color style, like I know some associations do, you'll be able to do that easily. You could also use this as individual pages. So if you want one page to have the green theme and another page or another section of your site to have blue, that you will easily be able to do within this design system. So just a quick preview of what these colorways will look like kind of out of the box. This will be the green and blue colorway. So it's primary green with secondary blue. Next would be primary blue with secondary purple. Then we have purple with secondary red. And then finally, red with secondary yellow.
One of the things you will see, and you can see it into this slide as well, that you'll see is no longer supported, is orange with secondary green. That has been, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, discontinued or for web. They are not accessible colors from a color and contrast positioning. Therefore, those colors are not part of the design system. I understand from doing some basic research that was predominantly used for campsites from YMCA, so something to consider. How does the banner? We can show you. I don't think we have there's a quick question here, Shelley. It says, how do the banner styles translate to mobile view? Do we have a slide that showcases them here?
I don't have the slide, but I could pull up our designs really quickly. I would just have to find the other screen. So if you pardon me,
While I talk about these sort of pairing, you can kind of bring up the other slide. So effectively what we are looking for in that, so the couple of changes that I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of with the color system. So one is the lack of the orange and the green system that was available. So that obviously was widely utilized and is no longer brand compliant. The second one is the utility navigation, which is the very, very top portion of the navigation that we are showing in the banner out of the box as white. There used to be an option to do it in black, specifically for those who've been on Carnation. If you have something that's very close to out of the box that was in black, that is also not approved. If you feel very strongly about it from your own personal site, it could be adjusted. You'd have to work with a vendor, but out of the box, it is white, and no longer you have an option to go from white to black in that structure, just to align with the approved brand standards from YUSA. Just as Shelley is just going to pull up these mobile versions, they do, Sarah, have all of them have a mobile options.
Okay, I've got.
Do you got it?
Yeah, I think so. Let me just make sure. Yep. Okay. Yeah. So these are the banners in mobile here. And this would be the overlay banner. This would be the chevron banner. This is the color banner, and then this is the standard.
So they kind of stack laterally, and then the cards literally are, I think, the same. They just go vertically.
Yeah.
Instead of being 3 wide, they stack on top of each other.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do
I
you
can
wanna go
actually
ahead?
show the cards in mobile really quickly too, if you'd like.
Proof that there's a lot of designs required to make this work.
Here's the cards. Actually, they probably, oh, did we do the mobile ones? No, I don't think we did mobile and cards, but
No,
yeah,
they
this
stack.
is just another view of the cards here, so you can kind of see a little bit bigger what they look like. The nice thing about the photo overlay card is it doesn't take up as much of that kind of vertical space. So if you want to kind of save a little bit of space there on the page, it's not quite as long as some of these other cards. So giving you some flexibility here in that regard.
And one thing we didn't call out, but you can see on the card image there, we didn't call it specifically as we were talking through the design styles, is that the buttons can come with both a fill and a non-fill. You can see them sort of varying through the pages, but that will be, you can sort of see them on the same page. You can see within them, if you can go back to one of the color styles pages, you can see it. There you go. You can come with a fill or a non-fill option. So you have some choices and structures to play with. What we started with in this first round is the things that people are most commonly using on their site to allow you guys to move forward with the lazy migration, but also providing you with some variation on different structures and styles. These may grow over time to give you a little bit more flexibility as well, but the goal for June is to get you as close as possible. Now, all of these styles will be available for camp, for all of the sort of varying content type structures throughout the site.
Yep. And all of the layout builder components that we've used as well. So if you have alignment, like text alignment and accordions, that's something you'll be able to designate via this design system as well. So we're building in a lot of this flexibility into these new components that we've just taken from paragraphs and into layout builder. So the idea being that the experience to set this up will actually be pretty intuitive for a lot of your content administrators, and also giving you a lot of flexibility to change things on the fly as well. If you want to make a new campsite that's got a different color theme than the one you had last year, you'll be able to easily do that. Great. And
Okay.
on to that. So did we want to do any questions, or are we going to wait till the end for questions? I wasn't sure if there
We
was.
can leave them, or they can post them in the channel. I'll flag them.
Okay, great. All right. Did you want me to discuss the
that.
upcoming releases, or were you going to take that handle?
I can take it. Yeah, I'll take that. So for September, we are starting to build this out. Every time we talk to it gets a little bit bigger. We anticipate additional accessibility fixes that'll be coming from this. This is predominantly to ensure that screen readers work correctly. I want to be 100% clear. We can ensure that all the fields work. It is up to the content editors to fill in the fields when you guys have access to your site. So it's to make sure that that works. So it is a 50-50 job. We're going to start working on a promotional content type to support internal advertising goals and initiatives at Wise. So that's a big one for us. We're hoping to work with Brandywine on that. They've been very supportive of this initiative. Activity Finder's got some improvements for some advanced filtering. We haven't really, as an organization, touched Activity Finder's filters in 2017, I would say. And so it's time to get a little bit more advanced filtering and to make that a little bit more supportive on how people are using it. Integration with Microsoft Teams for alerts, working on some Active Directory for SSO for the Microsoft and Google houses, migration from CK Editor 4 to CK Editor 5. Far less sexy for the content admins here, but very important for your IT department. Continue improvements on the design system. It is our hope to make as many of the components as flexible as we're looking at. As you saw there, we utilized cards today, but there are, Shelly, keep me honest, how many components have we done now? 20 some?
Closer to
almost
closer to 30-ish, I think.
Yeah, so we showed just one of the 30 components that are available to you using Layout Builder, but the same variations or different variations depending on the need for that component will be available. And we also are going to continue to add a few things like a small banner and some additional customizations. We are going to continue to work on our sandbox improvements. One of the big ones we want to be able to do is to have updated demo content in there so that if a small Y or a medium Y were to set this up themselves, a lot of the demo content would look like a real site and then give you a good structure to move forward with. And then continued remediation. As we move into December, can change the slide, thank you. We got a few structural upgrades, PHP and Symfony that have to be done. We're working on a public roadmap website to allow for community submissions and feedback. And Then in terms of new features that we're working on, and we would love to hear you guys' thoughts and feedbacks for additional items, but what we've tagged so far is a donation system, not we're working on whether that will be the ability to support integrations for a donation system, along with structured pages to help support donations in total, a financial assistance calculator for memberships so that you guys can put in that and people can help kind of calculate it, multilingual management, and then test automation. So those are kind of the big ones that will continue to get grown out or developed over the next few months. But please let us know what you guys are looking for. Your feedback is how we develop this roadmap. So if you don't share it with us, we don't know. Avi, are you able to take the next couple slides?
I can. I'm here. Yeah. So as Kylie noted, there's a lot of kind of front end stuff in the works, but there's also some back end dependencies that are evolving as we go. So this slide is talking about the Drupal roadmap. So as you know, everything on YMCA website services relies on Drupal for its underpinnings. So you can see here, Drupal 9.5 has been included in the website services release for March. So if you update to the latest website services release, you'll be able to upgrade to Drupal 9.5. Drupal 9.5 is kind of the preparation for Drupal 10. It's like all of the good stuff without taking away any of the stuff that Drupal 10 is going to take away on the back end. So 9.5 is ready to go, and that's there for you. Drupal 10, we are still working on debugging the last final couple dependencies. So we rely on lots of community modules as well, and those are still kind of working up to supporting Drupal 10, but that is planned for the June release. You can see here, kind of going forward, Drupal 10.1 and 10.2 planned for the end of the year to be released, and we will keep working on those as we go. But the big news for Drupal 10 is that move to CK Editor 5 that Kylie mentioned. That's going to be a huge upgrade for content editors. CK Editor is what powers the WYSIWYG kind of text box that you all probably use if you've ever edited a Drupal site. It's a big change. That system is probably like 8 or 10 years old at this point. So it's going to modernize it. It's going to improve a lot of the user interface, and it's going to allow us to do a lot more interesting things in there. I think that's it for Drupal. We can go to the next slide. So Drupal runs on PHP. PHP is kind of the underlying language there. And as you've heard, if you've been on these calls, we are continuing kind of to progress that as well. PHP 7.4 went out of long-term support at the end of last year. So if you're running any sites on that, you should very much have a plan to upgrade to PHP 8. There's definitely some work to be done there. If you have any customizations, you'll probably need to do some updates to that code. But otherwise, everything for that update is in the latest release of website services. PHP 8.1 and 8.2 are also out now, and release is pending, or support is pending for those. So by the end of this year, you'll need to be on PHP 8.1, and then next year 8.2 is coming. So those updates always have, a little bit of changes to the kind of functions and the language that your code is written in. And most of those releases are performance related and security related. So keeping up to date with the PHP releases means your site will keep going faster and keep supporting the latest stuff.
Absolutely. One quick note. So at the completion of the June release, for those who care about the numbers of the systems we're working on, at the end of June, we will officially be on website services version 3 or OpenY version 3. So that will be our official new start to the new versioning control. And so that'll be our first foray into that movement over there. I think that is all of our updates at this point. If there are any questions, please don't hesitate to let us know. There's been a few throughout. that you guys have been posting in the channel that we've tried to bring up, but if there's any more, let me know.
I will just say the words that I'm putting in chat, but as always, we have a Slack channel where you can join to get support. The link to join that is there, and also the documentation. Links to both of those are in the chat if you are not aware of them.
Perfect. And Tom Gardner, as always.
Well, first of all, thank you for the presentation, for the progress. The feedback coming through the chat is positive. It can't help but reflect on the last year and the progress we have made, and there's no stopping us. So thank you, core team, for developing it and presenting it to us. Very helpful. That said, Avi, my question is, with that timeline was great to see, and thanks for sharing that. But thinking about the pace that Drupal is changing at, if you will, like what are there significant Drupal features that go away with Drupal 10, right? That we may have depended on in the past that we liked, that go away, that we need to be prepared for code that it maybe exists outside of the distribution or otherwise is in live use.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. The main things going away with Drupal 10, I was actually just looking this up so I could remember. So the main shift between Drupal 9.5 and Drupal 10 is that a lot of the API, so the functions, the kind of systems that are underneath everything, when we change a major version, there's some of the old kind of things in that underlying code that are being removed or deprecated. So Drupal 9.5 kind of deprecates everything, and Drupal 10 removes them from the code base. So that a lot of that is invisible to most folks on the call. Like I said, if you do have customizations, you'll have to update those to be supported. But a lot of the work is under the hood. The main big feature between 9 and 10 is, like I said, CK editor. That's the biggest front end change. We're working on that. That does take some work to switch over. And I think that's going to be the biggest change that folks see. We're also, as we've all seen, kind of taking advantage of some of the layout builder, which was introduced in Drupal 8 and 9. As things come through, website services is big. YMCAs are big. It takes us kind of a couple of years to take brand new functionality and get it to the point where we're ready to actually introduce it to wider use. So layout builder, like I said, is one of those things that's kind of been there for a while, but we're finally ready to kind of introduce it to a broader audience. Yeah, I think that those are the major pieces.
Thank you.
Tom, do you
Thanks,
have any
Tom.
other questions? Or are you good?
Hi, no, I'm not seeing any additional questions in the chat to everyone. I will let in one additional person who just joined the call, but I will, that reminds me, I will post the call link and make a general announcement where you can get to that on the YouTube channel along with the other past calls. So you can view those at your leisure.
I want to just go through a couple quick calendar updates. So our next call obviously is in May. It's May 9th. The call after that, which will be June 13th, is the same day as the June release. So set your calendars, mark your notifications, put that in. We will be doing a demo for you of everything that we've released on that call. So you'll be able to see it working and functioning just like we did with the March release. For those who are very interested in it, you'll be able to see sort of some of the camp stuff and all the other things that we'll put forward. So if you can attend one, please try to make the June call. That one will be a little bit longer. We've been keeping them kind of at the 30-minute mark, but that one will most likely be a little bit longer and is incredibly important for us as an organization to get that out. So that's important. There's just one last question for Taylor. It says, if our website colors are based on orange and green, should we update that on 9.5 or wait for the 10 release? you don't have to update it on 9.5. It would come, Taylor, when you took Layout Builder. You can work with your vendor to make a choice of what that would be. If you're staying with paragraphs, it wouldn't have a direct implementation on that structure. As Avi's laughing at me and my ability to speak. So I think you'd be fine until you start transitioning those colors over to Layout Builder. And then at that point, you will need to make a decision to go towards something that's a little bit more accessible, and your vendor can help support you through that initiative.
Right. And just to reiterate, the existing code isn't going away right now. It will eventually, but you should be able to still update to the latest version of website services without your existing site breaking. The only caveat there is if you do have customizations, like I said, and the PHP or Drupal updates have changed the APIs and you haven't kind of tweaked the underlying code, there may be some issues there. But in general, we do our best to make sure that you can update and get the latest security updates and feature updates without breaking anything that's existing.
And on that note, we are starting to move with the end of June, with the June release. We will support both paragraphs and Layout Builder for 12 months. So we're giving you guys some time to make some decisions. You don't have to make it now. And hopefully that will also align with any sort of budget cycles that you guys are working through. Even after the 1 year mark comes up, you can stay on paragraphs. It would just be where you're getting your support from would be a little bit different. And we're happy to walk through what that would look like with you in future calls. But outside of that, I think that is it for today, unless Tom and Tom have anything to add.
Nope, nothing from this time.
Just in closing, thanks core team. Thanks everyone for participating. Great to see the growth, as I mentioned before, and look forward to seeing evidence of your work being developed by way of this distribution. So it'd be fun to kind of bring that out in the future, Kylie, if we can see the distribution at work and
Absolutely.
and see it go full circle. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Kylie, back to you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Have a wonderful time.
There you go. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.